What if I told you that the people who are influencing your thoughts and even your relationships the most are just random angry people online? People you've never even met before are living rent-free in your head, stealing your joy, and even changing the way you see people right in front of you. And I know this because I've been there. I let total strangers ruin my day. And when I came across this ancient proverb and this one Hebrew word, it made me ask, who was I giving all my attention to? Who was I letting drain all my mental energy? And most importantly, who was I becoming because of it? This past winter, I had gotten sick. It was for a couple of weeks, and like most colds, especially in the winter, you start to get a little down, the weather's dreary, you feel crummy as it is physically, let alone mentally. And I found myself just scrolling on that phone because I could sit with it in my bed and just do that, or in my chair and just scroll. And I found myself getting more and more in despair, depressed, and all this. And it wasn't just the doom scrolling. I can't remember what was going on at the time, but like it always happens, this is always is happening, there was some controversy, especially political controversy. One side did something, the other side was making a statement, this side was making fun of them for making a statement, and it's going back and forth, and lots of anger, lots of, you're stupid, you're being silly for doing this. This is all, all these words, all this anger out there. And even today, I realized that some of that was happening again. Some movie is coming out I hadn't even heard of, honestly, until I saw one of the influencers go, oh, this is why we shouldn't watch this movie, because of this person that they cast in a certain role. And it's like, I wouldn't even cared or heard about the movie, even though it's a director I like, if you hadn't mentioned it. And this proverb, simple proverb, in chapter 26, Proverbs 26, in verse 1, this is like snow in summer and rain at harvest time, so honor for a fool is out of place. And this is coming from the Complete Jewish Study Bible. And this proverb here, I have read many times before. And actually at this point in time, this past winter, about all I could handle in my Bible study was a few proverbs here and there. And this one hit me like a ton of bricks, because I will tell you why. Because of one little word that kind of bothered me. I could picture snow in summer. I could picture rain at harvest and the destruction that would cause. But what was this word honor? What did that really mean? That's a very abstract word. And we read it and we think we know what it means and we move along. Well, I decided to go and look at the Hebrew, because Hebrew is a beautiful language where it is concrete. It speaks, especially from the ancient Eastern culture there, from the ancient Eastern culture, it is very concrete. It is something you can see, something you can feel, something you can touch, something you can taste even, or smell, or anything like that. It is a very concrete language. And so I decided to go ahead and look up, what does this word honor actually mean? And it is actually the word kavod. And kavod, it has this idea of weight, of heaviness, of something that's substantial. And so when you give kavod to something, or honor to somebody who is a fool, you're giving weight. You're making them more substantial than they should be. And that really hit me. I was like, wow, understanding this little word helped me realize that doing that doom scrolling and giving weight and honor to the foolishness that was going on out there, It's just like snow in summer or rain at harvest. So let's think about that. Yeah, I grew up in Oregon, and I've actually seen snow in summer. We went to the mountains one year, 4th of July weekend, and we woke up with snow one time. Okay, the mountains in Oregon, Central Oregon, the Cascades, the vegetation there, it knows what to do with snow. But now I live in northern Alabama, and it's the middle of summer, and we recently went through a heat spell of high 90s with 100,000% humidity or whatever. It was hot, it was humid, and right now we're enjoying a little cooling off period. We're having highs in the low 80s, and it feels cooler to us. Well, if we actually had snow right now, we may be thinking and dreaming that it would be nice to have snow in summer. All of my apples on my apple trees would just fall off and die. All of my figs, all of my blueberries, my tomatoes, my peppers, everything in my garden and all my pretty flowers that I love seeing this time of year, they would just die. So snow in summer, snow in winter is fine. Snow in summer is devastating. That just cuts off your food supply. The food that you have to preserve for later. I do plan on preserving some of this food for later on. And same with harvest. The harvest time would be for grains. And if you had rain during harvest time, that grain is ruined and you lose all of that. You lose your food for the next year or two. It's like around here, when they cut the hay, you gotta hope it doesn't rain. You're trying to get that hay in before the rain comes, otherwise it's ruined. And so this is a very devastating idea of giving weight or giving substance, having something substantial to a fool. This is not just a flippant idea. And if we look further in Proverbs chapter 26 and verses 20 through 22, it says, if there's no wood, the fire goes out. If nobody gossips, contention stops. As coals are to embers and wood to fire, is a quarrelsome person to kindling strife. As a slanderer's words are tasty morsels, they slide right down into the belly. So again, what do you do with a fool? Do you give it weight? Do you give them honor? Do you give this foolishness, the foolish talk that's out there, the angry comments? Do we give that weight? Give it time in our heads? Or even here in verse 21 or 22, the idea of it going right down into our body, that's the Hebrew for that is in the belly, the innermost parts. So it's like dainty morsels going down into the belly. And really the picture that I envision, so the innermost part or the belly is actually like what we think of as our heart. It's like where the emotions are. You think about gut feeling, it's that innermost being, the thoughts and emotions. Well, not really the thoughts as much as the emotions. And a slanderer's words, they're tasty morsels. And I mean, right now, there's this thing going on about lettuce again, and stuff on the lettuce and how it looks like maybe a nice pretty salad or whatever you're eating could look really good. It's a time for picnics. It could look great. But then you're eating those tasty morsels and it goes down and it just tears your gut apart because there's something on it. There's listeria, there's a bacteria, there's a new parasite or something else. But you can probably understand that whole idea of your gut being torn apart. And that's kind of the image, the picture that we're seeing here in this proverb. And so what do? Do we give fuel to the slanderer? Do we add wood to the fire? Do we add coals to the embers? And by doing that is like when we go on those social media posts and maybe make a comment. Or I rarely make comments. I think I'm above that and all that, whatever. No, actually, I just don't want to get into it. I don't like the backlash, to be honest. But I will talk about it with my husband or a friend or my kids or something, some relative, I will talk about it with other people. So how is that any different? It's still adding fuel. It's still giving weight to the fool. And we need to take the seriousness of how these words, how these dainty morsels can be devastating, just like snow would be right now in northern Alabama. It would devastate our crops. And the other thing with these tasty morsels is sometimes we kind of crave them. It's almost like, I kind of want to get a little bit more of that. I want to hear a little bit more. I want to keep scrolling so I can see the next one. I want to just look through the comments and see what people are saying and get angry at what people are saying. I say, you're stupid. See, I'm right, you're stupid. And we don't realize how damaging that can be to us. It is damaging to our mental well-being. It drains our energy. It hurts our relationships. Because more than just looking at the comments there, you start to associate people maybe of a particular political group, the opposite of what you believe or your thoughts are. You start looking at everybody like that as being, oh, you're just stupid, you think this way, or whatever. Instead of seeing real people in front of us who are probably of a different political side or religion or anything like that, instead of seeing them as real people and having compassion on them, instead we look at them and decide to add fuel to the fire or ruin these relationships because we've allowed these dainty morsels to come in and affect us and tear us apart and affect how even our emotions and how we have compassion on people. So what can we do about it? It is a serious thing, and I definitely don't want it to be something to take lightly. I know that after I read this verse this past winter, I was just like, oh, let me close my phone. Let me stop. Let me figure out how to stop doom scrolling. And there are a few things you can do. There is definitely hope. And one is, well, yeah, you can stop social media altogether. Have I stopped social media? No. I still look at Facebook. I still look at Instagram. I just don't do it as much. And also, I kind of curate. If I see something that I know is going to be controversial, I just go past it. And eventually, Facebook learns and they don't send you that stuff anymore. I look at fun things like, oh, let's look at sourdough. Let's look at gardening. Let's look at knitting. Let's look at crochet. Let's look at cute kitties. Things like that. Let's look at things I'm interested in. And if I just go past the stuff and don't click on the things that are, going to harm me, then guess what? The algorithm learns. But I think more importantly, I try to limit my time there. I try to actually, as Gen Xers, as a Gen X, I used to have to sit there and not have anything to look at when I was waiting for things or waiting in an office or anything. And sometimes it's good, even in the car, not to have any music playing, not to have an audio book going or a podcast, which I love doing in the car. But lately, even just letting my mind be quiet. That's a new thing. Something you can try. Takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of effort. Sometimes it's just going 5 minutes at a time. Work it up to 10, 15, 30, an hour. See how much you can get with just being quiet again. So yeah, maybe obviously stopping the doom scrolling is going to be helpful. Number 2, have a plan. If you are not scrolling, you're probably going to want to do something else. You don't want to just sit there all day. So have a plan. Start a new hobby. Get back to a hobby you love. Do something you really enjoy. Talk with people in front of you. I used to love people watching. It's harder to people watch nowadays because everybody's like this. But I still enjoy people watching. Talk to people. I love catching somebody's eye and just starting up a conversation when you're out and about. That's always fun. At home, I realized, do I want to scroll or do I want to knit? Do I want to scroll Or maybe go outside and enjoy the evening with my husband and talk to him a bit. That's always a good thing. Gets us both off of scrolling. So those are some ideas. And number 3, meditate more on God's Word. Spend more time in the Word trying to learn and understand what He wants us to look at, what He wants us to do. And with that, hit the subscribe button, because this channel is going to help you learn more about even meditating on God's Word and what that means and how to unearth these biblical treasures.